What is good with y'all? It's your boy Chris, and we're back on Spurs Spotlight with another banger.
Yo, y'all gonna stop coming in my live talking about this Victor dude, bro. We hooping this year. Y'all gonna see.
Hi team, today we actually have one of my favorite videos to make, and it's a tier list. We've done a couple of these on the channel, but today we're going to do it a little bit different. Today's topic is going to be my favorite Spurs. So we're going to be ranking my favorite Spurs on a tier list from S to D. It's all going to be my opinion, so feel free to comment down below y'all's tier list. I'm actually looking forward to see y'all's tier list because I want to know which Spurs y'all like and which ones y'all don't. It could be totally different from mine, but like I said, it's all opinion based, so don't take it to heart if your favorite player is Zach Collins and I put him at C tier. And again, this is no hate to any of the Spurs players because I love the San Antonio Spurs and I can't wait to see them play again. I just really want to watch Spurs basketball. But with that being said, let's just get straight into it. And starting with Wemby, I'm actually going to put him at D tier. I mean, he's cool, but I don't know. It's just something about... Nah, I'm kidding. We're going to throw Wemby at S tier. Honestly, I would give Wemby his whole tier to himself if I could. I don't really like anybody on the Spurs like I do Wemby, no Diddy. Call it Glaze, call it whatever you want. Wemby just completed his first season, and he's already one of my top 3 favorite players of all time. Probably by the end of next season, because he's going to be my favorite player of all time. I'm just keeping it honest. Like, I love Wemby a lot, and I'm so glad he's in San Antonio, and he's going to be our first S tier. Now, Devin Vassell. You know what? I'm going to put Devin Vassell in high A tier. This is subject to change. I might move it around at the end, but for right now, I'm going to put him at A tier. And I just really love Devin Vassell's offensive game. It's really fun to watch him getting all his difficult shots to go in. He's an efficient scorer. He can shoot from the 3. He can shoot mid-range. He could get downhill. Obviously, I want to see him apply some more pressure at the rim. But I really like Devin Vassell, and I feel like he can be maybe the third to second best player on this team. I don't know his ceiling yet, and so we're going to put him at A tier. And if Devin Vassell could take this jump that I'm predicting him to take next season, he could definitely move up to S tier for sure. Next, we have Chris Paul. Now, Chris Paul, before he came to the Spurs, I would have him down here in the D tier. I was a Chris Paul hater. I did not want him to get a ring. But now that he came to the Spurs, I kind of had to ease up. I like Chris Paul, and I'm going to go ahead and put Chris Paul at the B tier because I feel like this duo of Chris Paul and Wemby is going to be spectacular. Obviously, Chris Paul was a part of Lob City, and that's going to play a huge part in his role with the Spurs. We're going to see some insane plays from these two. Not to mention the IQ on the court. He's going to manage the floor, and it's just going to be a great sight to see. And so Chris Paul is moving up from D to B tier in my favorite players on the San Antonio Spurs. Next, Trey Jones. I'm going to go ahead and put Trey Jones in I'm going to put him in B tier. He's kind of like he's going to play this Chris Paul role, but kind of for the second unit. They're going to do a lot of the same things, and I don't think they'll be on the court at the same time together. I really like Trey Jones. I think he is the backup point guard of the future if we keep him. I hope the Spurs will keep him. I don't mind watching him play. He was actually one of the few players I actually like to see on the court last season because he was the only one who was throwing lobs to Wemby. So he went up in my tier rankings, and I'm going to go ahead and put him at B tier for right now. Jeremy Sohan. Y'all might hate me for this one, but keep in mind I said this is my opinion on my favorite players, all right? I'm not saying Jeremy Sohan is better than Devin Vassell because that's obviously not true. But I love Jeremy Sohan, and I'm going to have to put him in S tier because I like his attitude. I like the chip on his shoulder that he plays with. I like how he tries to get in other players' heads. He's a versatile defender. I think he's going to be a key glue guy to this Spurs championship team in the future. And I just love his mentality. He shoots his free throws with one hand. I remember his rookie year, he got into it with Markieff Morris. I think Marcus Morris. I don't know the twins between them. But he got into one of them, and he winked at the Jumbotron. He got an and one on Portland and was trying to dap up their bench. I just like the mentality he walks around with, and you're just not going to punk Jeremy Sohan. Not to mention, I also like watching him play basketball. He's a pretty good basketball player if you ask me. So we're putting him at S tier. My Sochi Bear. Next is Keldon Johnson. Hold on, I need a sip of the water real quick for you. Keldon Johnson. I'm going to put Keldon Johnson in B tier. And really with this B tier, I wouldn't mind if they were traded. Like, obviously I don't want them to be traded. Chris Paul might get traded, but there's a difference between these players and and S tier. Like, if Devin Vassell got traded, I'm crying. But if Keldon Johnson got traded, I'll be like, okay, I understand it. I really do like Keldon Johnson, not trying to diminish him as a player or anything. As you know, I've been an advocate of buying the Keldon Johnson stock. With all the offseason news, we've seen him slim down, and I think he's going to buy into his role and be an elite six-man. But if we're talking favorites, last year kind of hurt his stock for me. Just seeing him do the tunnel vision thing and lack of defense, it kind of brought him down. I think he was about an A tier the year before that, but after this season he's going down to the B tier, and I have hope in him. I think he could regain this and move back up to the A, but we're just gonna have to see. For now, we got him at the B tier. Next is Julian Champagnie. Now, I know some people don't really care for Julian Champagnie, but I'm a Julian Champagnie fan, and I'm gonna go ahead and put Champagnie right here in between Chris Paul. He's going to be above Chris Paul, but he's going to be behind Keldon Johnson. And that's because Julian Champagnie is still a very young player. I believe he's 23 years old on a good contract. And I've said it before, he reminds me of Danny Green. Not saying he's going to be as good as Danny Green, because we know what prime Danny Green did in the finals. I don't think Julian Champagnie will ever do that. But he is a 3-and-D archetype that I think is key to a championship team. And we're eventually going to have Julian Champagnie blossom into a key role player for this Spurs team. I liked watching him throw down some dunks that he had in the regular season. He didn't do it often, but when he did, it got me hyped. I really like his three-point celebrations whenever he's hitting his shots. So we're going to put him at B tier as well. I'm a Julian Champagnie fan. Next, we got Stephen Castle. Stephen Castle, I'm going to put him at A tier. I think he has elite potential. He has all-star potential in my opinion. He's the point guard of the future, with, I think, Trey Jones backing him up. Just watching Stefan play basketball in the summer league, it really made me a fan. Like, I wanted him before. No, did he? When we were going over draft prospects, I made a bunch of videos about it, and I said Stefan Castle was my favorite prospect, and I thought the Spurs should draft him. But whenever I saw him get on the court, I didn't know he was that comfortable as a point guard. And that really caught my eye. One thing about his game is his pace. I really like his pace. He can get downhill, finish through contact. He's a good passer, which I did not know that about him, because his role in UConn was obviously different than what it's going to be in San Antonio. But he really surprised me, and I think he's going to remind me of a more athletic Derek White whenever he's in his prime. Just that role that Derek White played, the defensive guard who could really do everything on the court. That's what I see Stefan Castle doing in the future. And so we're going to go ahead and throw him at A tier. Mamu! Oh, man, Mamu. If y'all know me, if y'all been watching the videos, y'all know I really like Mamu too. I don't think I could put him in A tier. Can I put him in A tier? You know what? I'm putting Mamu in A tier. Like I said, I'm going to say it again, because I don't want y'all in the comments coming at me for putting Mamu in A tier. This is not the best players. These are my favorite players. And watching Mamu on the court next to Wemby is it's great basketball. He fits so well next to Wemby. I've seen them do a couple pick and rolls together where Wemby is the ball handler and Mamu send the screen and rolling. They have good chemistry. Mamu finishing off last season was a big part of him getting another year on the contract. I don't know how much playing time he's going to get, but I hope he gets some, because I really enjoy watching Mamu. If you're asking me, I think Mamu is a better power forward than Zach Collins. I don't think Mamu's a center, but I think he's a better power forward, and I do think that he fits better next to Wemby. Their play styles just mesh together. They have that European overseas type basketball chemistry that they just spawn in with, I guess. And I really like Mamu. I hope he could get a spot on this team and end up being a little role player, Boris Diaw type. But if we have a good team, I think Mamu should definitely have a spot in there to get some minutes. Next is Malachi Branham. Now, his rookie year, I was really a fan of him, but I think it was mostly due to the fact that we didn't have a direction. Like, we were just the Spurs team tanking, and we could let the rookies do whatever they want. And so he had a little bit of freedom to do whatever he wanted to. I believe he averaged like 20 points per game in January of his rookie year, and that was a pretty crazy stretch for him. But his sophomore year, he kind of cooled down, fell into his role a little bit. He doesn't have a real role to maximize Malachi Branham's talents. He's more of a pick and roll player, and we have him in a 3-and-D type or a spot-up shooter type. And not to mention his defense isn't the best. So you know what? I'm going to go ahead and throw him at C tier. And I think that he is going to have to show us something this season if we're going to keep him. Same thing with Blake Wesley. I'm going to go ahead and throw Blake Wesley at the C tier as well. I don't hate these players. I don't really enjoy watching them play. And it's not a shot at them. It's just with us getting Wemby, it speeds up the timeline a little bit. And these players don't have as much time to develop. I do think they could be good role players on other teams if they don't get it right this upcoming season. Nonetheless, I don't hate them. So these two from the 22 draft class are going to go C. And next is Charles Bassey. I like Charles Bassey on the court. If I could see him play a little bit more, I think he could be up here in this B tier. But he's never playing, and I watched every Spurs game last season and the year before that, but I just can't remember like really watching Charles Bassey. I know he's more of a rim protector, but he's just never on the court. I'm going to throw Charles Bassey at C tier. Not much to say about him, but hopefully he can stay healthy and play a little role for us this upcoming season. Now, Zach Collins. Look, this is no disrespect, man, but leave it down below in the comments right now. Well, where am I going to put Zach Collins? Yeah, if y'all know me, if y'all been watching the videos, where am I going to put Zach Collins? Come on, tell me. I'll wait. Where am I going to put him? I don't hate him. I just don't think there's a role on the team for him. He's like a big power forward. He can't play center, as we saw this last season. Maybe if we get more defenders around him, I don't really know. I guess we're just going to have to see with this upcoming season where he fits in, because now I think the Spurs are a real team. If Zach Collins still isn't sticking to this team now that we have a real team, we're definitely going to have to get him out of there. Not to mention his contract is really not good. I think we're paying him around $17 million, and that's not good money for Zach Collins overall. I don't like watching Zach Collins. He's my least favorite player on the team, respectfully. I'm not going to disrespect him because I don't know how hard he works in the offseason to put on a show for the Spurs fans, and I'm sure he loves it here. No diss. I'm going to put you at D, Zach Collins. I'm sorry. Lastly, Harrison Barnes. I don't really know. I don't have a solid take on Harrison Barnes right now. I think once we get into the season, I'm going to really gauge where he would fit on this list. But for now, I think he's going to play a pretty good role for us, and I think he should go in the B tier. A good vet role player, Olympic gold medalist, championship DNA on the 73-9 Warriors. So this experience for the Spurs is great. As we know, he's the Iron Man and the ultimate veteran, and I think he's going to fit in just fine with the San Antonio Spurs, so we're going to throw him at the B tier. With that being said, y'all let me know what y'all think of my list. Y'all might give me some slack for Sohan and Mamu, but these are my favorite players on the San Antonio Spurs right now. Like I said, y'all leave y'all's tier list down below. I want to see what y'all think. I'm going to go ahead and respond to you in the comments. Let me know. As always, be sure to join the Spurs Spotlight Discord. That's going to be in the comments. Leave a like as always. Subscribe to Spurs Spotlight. And we're on the road to 1K. Also, the next video should be the rebuilding the San Antonio Spurs on 2K25. So y'all be sure to tune in for that. Join the Spurs Spotlight Discord to help me rebuild the San Antonio Spurs. And until then, it's me, your boy Chris. And I'm out. Peace.